Yes, hello, and welcome to our next installment in our series of programs on playing card games, Solitaire. We've got an item from one of our members, Matt S. from Oak Park, writes in and says, "Hey, card guy, what is the first Solitaire game that you learned?" Well, Matt, I can tell you that at a tender age, I learned a very simple game called the 10 game, and it is a really great game for kids because it teaches simple addition, but frankly it's also a lot of fun for adults as well. So what do you say we give it a try? Okay, well, let's start off with a simple reminder here of the deck that we're going to use. Of course, it's a simple standard playing pack of cards. You've got your two colors, you've got 52 cards, you've got 4 suits within, and of course within each suit is 13 ranks, ace through king. You've heard this before, nice and simple. Go ahead and get those cards nice and shuffled. We of course recommend shuffling those cards 7 times to achieve what's been mathematically proven as being your maximum randomness. So you're starting with a nice clean slate with a nice shuffled deck. What can be better? Okay, now that we're all shuffled and ready, let's look at the layout of our game that I like to call the 10 game. Start off with a nice clean surface you see here and simply deal out 12 cards like you see here. You can do 2 rows of 6, you can do 3 rows of 4, 4 of 3, and so on. Here's your goal. You need to cover all the 10s. So what do I mean by that? If you see a 10, cover it with a card. If you see a pair of cards that add to 10, well then cover those pairs of cards. And here's how it works. If you see an ace and a 9, cover them. If you see a 2 and an 8, cover them. Basically, all the spot cards or pip cards that can pair up to 10, those are the 2 you want to cover. But I got to warn you, when you deal a picture card, I'm afraid that card is dead. It has no value. So as soon as it's placed, it's going to be closing off that position on your tableau. But if you end up with 12 pictures at the end, well then, sir, I believe you win. Okay, well, now that we understand the layout, what do you say we give it a shot? We'll play the 10 game. So here I am with a nice clean surface, as you can see here. You can see my 2 little marks here to keep myself in frame. I'm going to go ahead and deal out 12 cards like we showed you before, get those kind of organized, and then another row of 6, 12 total. And there we go. There's our beginning. Now let's look for some pairs. Let's look for some 10s. Our job is to cover the 10s. There's a 10 right there. We'll cover it. Now that picture card is dead, but we'll just have to look at those other positions and see how we do. How about that 9 and the 1? You bet. Those add up to 10. Go ahead and cover those 2. Now let's look for another pair that works. Well, the 6 and the 4. Those add to 10. Cover it up with another pair of cards. How about a 5 and a 5? Those both add up to 10. Let's cover them. Now, the queen is not good for us, but the 10 is. We'll cover that 10 with a 2, and now we can use that 2 and that 8. Those 2 add to 10. So you can get the feel for this here. It's really a great game for kids to learn about basic addition, but it's also, frankly, not always winnable, so give it a shot. How about that 7 and 3? You bet. Those 2 work nicely. What can we do next here? How about that 1 and the 9? Those 2 add up to 10. Now we've got our 4th picture card here. Let's see if we can continue to work with the cards that we have. There's that 1, the ace on the 6 and the 4. There we go. Let's keep these cards nice and clean. What's the next pair that we can find? What 2 cards add up to 10? How about that 7 and the 3? Those 2 add up nicely. What's next for us? How about that 9 and the ace? There we go. Ooh, our 5th picture card is here. Let's continue to work the remaining cards as best as we can with that 6 and the 4. Here comes an 8 and a 2. We can cover those 2 cards up. Those add up to 10. Cover your 9 and the ace. That works out for 10 as well. Cover that 10. We've got a number of picture cards here, a few remaining positions, but we're going to continue to find those pairs using our pip cards, our spot cards that add to 10. How about that 5 and the 5 there? Let's cover those 2 cards. What's left? Well, we have a 7 and a 3 left. Let's hope for some good news here. 7 and a 3. Oh, we've got an 8 and a 2 left. And looky here, we have nothing but 12 picture cards looking at us. We have no more remaining cards, and that means we've won the 10 game. Very simple, very fun. It was the first game that I learned. I would recommend it, teaching it to any young folks in your family. It's just a great way to learn about simple addition and using cards and trying to win solitaire. It's just great fun. So I recommend you go ahead and give it a shot. So thank you, Matt S. from Oak Park. Great question, great game. Hope you enjoyed the lesson as much as I did. And be sure, to catch us again next time.